A couple weeks ago, I made a video called 4 Great NBA Teams that the Warriors completely ruined. Now in that video, I was talking about a great franchise dynasty basically tearing other teams apart. That's a whole team tearing other teams apart. In this video, I'm detailing one man completely destroying NBA teams, great NBA teams, LeBron King James. This season marked his first time not making the postseason since the 05-06 season, and to me, the playoffs haven't been quite the same without him. LeBron had made 8 straight final appearances before not making the playoffs this year, and his legacy always being at stake truly gave us a thrill every single finals. And in that historic history of dominance, I feel like he's ruined quite a bit of teams in that journey. Now, before I jump into these teams, just a quick plug-in. If this is your first time around this channel, I don't know how you found me, but you found me. So you might as well join the gang and hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That's true support right there. If I can ask for anything for my birthday, Christmas, or whatever, Father's Day is coming up, that's all I'll ask, man. That's true support right there. Thank you. Remember in 2015 when we had a #1 seed called the Atlanta Hawks? They completely took over the All-Star game with 4 All-Stars, none of them starting, mind you. Their coach, Mike Budenholzer, won the Coach of the Year and coached the All-Star game. They won 60 games, and they truly looked like a scary team for LeBron's new Cleveland team. LeBron was in his first season back playing with unproven talent, and it wasn't just a certain foregone conclusion that Cleveland was going to make it to the finals, because like I said, in Miami, he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, Ray Allen experience. Cleveland, we didn't know, but with all that hype and all that uncertainty, Cleveland and Atlanta winded up meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals, the #1 versus the #2 seed, and LeBron completely dominated them in a 4-game ass whooping. Mind you, LeBron played half this series without the 2 stars that he went there for. Kevin Love got hurt in the first series versus Boston and missed the rest of the postseason, and Kyrie Irving missed game 2 and 3 with injuries, so it was pretty much LeBron versus 4 fake All-Stars, and he completely dominated. It was kind of embarrassing because I don't care how great LeBron was, you had a team that had the #1 seed, the Coach of the Year, 4 All-Stars, and they couldn't even win a game when LeBron was missing 2 of his guys. That was kind of embarrassing. And in the next season, LeBron met the exact same team, this time in the second round, and the exact same thing happened. A 4-game ass whooping, and after that, the Hawks lost Jeff Teague, Al Horford, Paul Millsap, and Kyle Korver in just a matter of 2 seasons, so LeBron just tore that team apart. I'm sorry, Atlanta fans, that little run was cute or whatever, but LeBron just, destroyed all that. Now, the team that's next on this list might have been dominated by LeBron the most. The next team is the Indiana Pacers. In 2012, the Pacers emerged as maybe LeBron's biggest threat in the East in his domination era, with Paul George coming into his own and the plethora of bodies and talent they had around him. It seemed as if this can really be a tough challenge for LeBron for the future. In 2012, the Pacers actually went up 2-1 against the Heat and had Game 4 in their house, possibly going up 3-1. But in Game 4, LeBron went out and scored 40 points in Indiana, and they ended up completing the series in just 6 games. Now, we all kind of excuse that because that was Paul George's real first season becoming an All-Star and basically making noise. But the next season, LeBron and Paul George met again, and this time it was in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it went 7 games. Paul George was dunking on folks. It looked like it was a legitimate battle for who was going to the NBA Finals. And basically, the theme of that series, both teams were holding serve pretty well, like no team was letting the other win in their house. But in Game 7, where they met for a chance to go to the finals, Paul George showed up very tiny with a 7-point game, going 2 for 9 and having a plus-minus of -14, ultimately getting blown out by 23 points. So that was the beginning of Paul George kind of shrinking. And sadly, that was their closest and best chance to actually beat LeBron, because in 2014, they met the Heat again in the Eastern Conference Finals, but the Heat got up 3-1. ultimately closing that series out in 6 games. So their best bet seemed like it was in 2013 when they went to a Game 7, honestly, because in 2015 when LeBron went back to Cleveland, unfortunately that was the year Paul George had his horrific leg injury, and the Pacers, they couldn't even make the playoffs without him. But eventually Paul George would actually see LeBron James in the playoffs again in 2017. The PG LeBron battle came back, but this time LeBron just swept him and got him out the way very quickly, very harmlessly, and that was the end of Paul George in Indiana. Paul George got traded, and the rest is history. Now the next one is kind of a special team because it kind of happened in a weird way. Number 3 is the Boston Celtics. In 2008, when the Boston Celtics created their Big Three and pretty much took over the East, they just completely handled LeBron James' Cleveland teams. Like, LeBron would have amazing averages, plays, do everything he could, dunked on KG. I mean, he was doing everything he possibly could, but Boston just had his number. But when LeBron decided to leave Cleveland and make his own super team, all of that changed. LeBron and the Heat met Boston in the semifinals in 2011, and this time LeBron had serious help and they just handled them. They beat him in only 5 games, and this was LeBron's first playoff series win against the Boston Celtics, so I just knew it felt great. But all of that would just go out the window because LeBron blew an NBA Finals against the Mavericks where he wasn't the same, and we all knew, how that turned out. In the next season, Boston and Miami met again, this time in the Eastern Conference Finals, where it had a bit more severity to this series. And honestly, it didn't look good for LeBron because Miami got down 3-2 with Game 6 in Boston where he often struggled. But LeBron, as we know, he came back and put up his greatest game maybe of all time. He had 45 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists on 73% shooting. And the Heat won the championship and everything was looking great and dandy for LeBron. Now, I said LeBron destroyed them in a weird way because that offseason, Ray Allen decided to leave what they had in Boston and actually join Miami, and ironically enough, he was the reason why they won the championship the next season when he hit the big shot. So that was kind of crazy. Meanwhile, the Ray Allen-less Celtics lost to the Knicks in the first round. Then they went on to finesse the Nets and blow their whole team up. So I think you can say LeBron, one way or another, had a big reasoning or a big part of the Celtics obliterating that whole Big Four that they had in Boston. Now, number 2.
We'll be back to LeBronto for the 4th quarter after this.
If we had LeBron on our team too, we would have won.
We'll be back to LeBronto for the 4th quarter after this.
Around 2014, the Raptors finally looked like they were recovering from being abandoned by yet another star, Chris Bosh, leaving. The offseason trade for Kyle Lowry seemed like it was paying off pretty well with him making all-star teams consecutively. DeMar DeRozan seemed like he was a safe choice. He was making all-star games, drawing comparisons to Kobe Bryant. They finally looked like they were actually forming something somewhat good. And, them being a young team, they struggled in their first 2 playoff seasons with their new talent, losing to the Nets in 7 games in 2014 and getting swept by the Wizards in 2015. But in 2016, they really seemed like they were ready to make some serious noise. They made the Eastern Conference Finals and actually had the series tied 2 games apiece versus Cleveland, and it looked like LeBron had some real challenge to get in the East. Like, it was somewhat exciting to watch. I remember in that Game 4 in Toronto where they tied the series up 2 games apiece, Bismack Biyombo was looking like Dikembe Mutombo, like he was blocking shots. I think he had a good block against LeBron. DeMar DeRozan had 32 points. Kyle Lowry had 35 points in the Game 4. I mean, Toronto was standing up. It looked like a serious thing that LeBron had to worry about. But in Game 5, they lost by a record-setting 38 points in Cleveland. And then in Game 6 in Toronto, they lost again by an embarrassing 26 points at home. So that was their best shot at actually beating LeBron. Now, at the time, it looked like it was going to be a promising little Eastern Conference rivalry for some years to come with LeBron and DeMar DeRozan. I mean, it looked like, man, just give Toronto some time. That was their first real time seeing LeBron. They took them to 6 games, yada, yada, yada. Give them some time, man. They're going to be back. But get this. The Raptors would go on to play LeBron in 2 more playoff series after that, and they never won another game. Like since 2016, where they took him to 6 games, they didn't beat LeBron James again in the playoffs. In 2017, LeBron and Kyrie just toyed with their backcourt. I mean, LeBron was spinning the ball. Kyrie was having these sweet layups off the glass. I mean, they just toyed and ran Toronto off the court. Then in 2018, Toronto got the first seed, and DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry had the best supporting cast they ever had and all this. LeBron didn't have Kyrie Irving no more, and LeBron still swept them. He had a game winner off the glass. LeBron, he just dominated the baby dinosaurs, man. To me, it's just not much more you can say. And as we know, DeMar DeRozan would go on to get traded, and Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan both felt backstabbed because I believe that GM said that DeMar DeRozan wasn't going anywhere, but he ended up getting traded because pretty much he couldn't get over the LeBron hump. But LeBron went to the West anyway and followed him, so that was just an embarrassing thing, man. And number one is probably going to surprise a lot of people, but you got to hear me out. Number 1 is actually the Golden State Warriors. Now, obviously, this team is a bit different from the 4 teams prior because this team didn't fall off a cliff after LeBron beat them. They actually got better and started beating LeBron and adding losses to his finals and all that. But this team, I'm talking about that 73-9 special Warriors team that we so adored. I'm not going to go too in depth on this one because it was only a few seasons ago, so unless you're like 4 years old, you already saw this. But that 2016 Warriors team was just special and very fun to watch. Like now, you can watch the Warriors, and most people, they don't cheer for the Warriors because of Kevin Durant and they want to see another team win. But back then, the Warriors were loved because they played the game the right way. They built a dynasty through the draft. Like, it was a beautiful team to watch. As we all know, that 2016 year was special. I mean, that Warriors team won 73 games, broke Michael Jordan and the Bulls record, went on to the finals, went to the Western Conference Finals, got down 3-1. It was almost like a movie. Like, it was a movie how great that season was. Then they saw LeBron James got up 3-1, and as we all know, Draymond Green got kicked out. LeBron dominated, Kyrie dominated, and we all know what happened. Now, I want to emphasize again, I'm not talking about the Warriors franchise. Obviously, their franchise got a lot better after that because they added the best player on the planet currently with Kevin Durant. So they won 2 more championships, en route for another championship. But I'm talking about the special team they built through the draft. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala, Andrew Bogut, Draymond Green, Marquise Spates. That team was special and very fun to watch. I actually cheered for that team because it was just a great thing to watch. And LeBron beating them, obviously Draymond Green asked for Kevin Durant and they all recruited him. And the rest is history, and that's why I think LeBron destroyed that great team that we so loved. That's the video though, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and follow all of my social media sites. Do all that great stuff, guys. Make sure you guys keep your spirits as high as to the roof. Keep it as high to the sky. Don't get down, don't get depressed. Keep your spirits high and always connect with your higher self. And until next time, guys, stay tuned.